today's video, it's going to be about my top 10 trade and off-season acquisitions for the NFL off-season of 2022. It's been incredible off-seasons in the NFL, probably the best in recent memories. A lot of dramatic trades, trades that you probably seen coming already. It was inevitable. But these teams or these players, to me, have made the teams have made big acquisitions and signings, and these are game changers when it comes across the league. These players, they are game changers. They're franchise changing talents, and the way these players were in dramatic fashions when it get in terms of what composition they had to get for and which each team was willing to give up. But ultimately, these teams acquired the players that they wanted, and they do feel like the acquisition they made these teams better at the end of the day. So begin with my list. With number 10, I'm gonna start off with Von Miller. Von Miller, he signed a 6-year deal worth $120 million. He had recorded 31 tackles and 5 sacks for the Rams, closing out the regular season. Two sacks in the Super Bowl came up really big for them, and he paid that. That trade for Von Miller really paid off. He signed with the Buffalo Bills, and the Buffalo Bills paid him $120 million for 6 years, $51 million in guaranteed money, and that was a huge payday for somebody like a Von Miller. Kind of unexpected what he was getting, but the pass rushers nowadays are getting paid a lot, especially what's going down in AFC with a lot of these good quarterbacks coming over there. So you need somebody like a Von Miller who's 33 years old. I know he's probably at the end of the tunnel, but somebody like a Von Miller, he's still going to produce in big games, and you're pretty much paying him for times in the playoffs and the Super Bowl and times of big games. You need somebody like a Von Miller who's going to be playing with a Greg Rosario, Ed Oliver, Jerry Hughes, a Tremaine Edmonds, a Jordan Poyer, and a Michael Hyde make up one of the best safety combos in the NFL. With a Tre'Davious White, who's coming off a torn ACL, who was one of the best cornerbacks in this league to me before going down, and having a Terrion Johnson. This defense is loaded to me. This is one of the best defenses in the AFC, and just adding somebody like a Von Miller does bring some leadership to this for this defense, and this was a great pickup for them. They overpaid for him, but in terms of the production and what they might get in terms of big game production, it's going to be worth it for the Buffalo Bills in my eyes. For my number 9 pick, I'm gonna go with Allen Robinson to the Los Angeles Rams. He signed a 3-year deal worth $465 million. $46 million. $46.5 million. He had 38 receptions, 410 yards, and 1 touchdown for the Chicago Bears, who were rebuilding last season around Justin Fields. And he didn't really have a big year, but we cannot forget that he had 3,000 yards receiving and a quarterback rotation in Chicago. And Allen Robinson, to me, is still a good a wide receiver. He's going to add production. He was used to being a number 1 receiver. Now he's number 2 behind Cooper Kupp, and he's going to trust him and believe. He's going to have a big season, and I do see him bouncing back with 1,000 yards receiving, playing with the Matthew Stafford and a Sean McVay, who's going to use the find ways to use somebody like Allen Robinson. And this kind of shocked a lot of people around the league. The Rams traded Robert Woods. They're looking to re-sign Odell Beckham, but it's just going to be interesting to me to see how they're going to use Allen Robinson. I think this was a low-key, sneaky pickup, and the value of this signing was huge for somebody like the Los Angeles Rams, who needed the depth at this position, and they got it with the signing of Allen Robinson. My number 8 free agent signing was Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper was big for somebody like the Cleveland Browns, who got rid of Odell Beckham, who got rid of a Jarvis Landry, a tight end Austin Hooper, who they cut early in the offseason. So this was a huge pickup for them. They only had to give up a 5th and a 6th round pick for Amari Cooper. He's coming off a decent season, 68 receiving receptions, 865 yards receiving, and 8 touchdowns. And Amari Cooper, you can say what you want. He's still, to me, one of the best route runners in this league. He's still a productive wide receiver. He's sometimes in and out of it during the games. You don't know where his head's at. Can he come up and clutch in the big games? But his other all-season buddy, who's probably going to be later on this list, this was a huge pickup for somebody like the Cleveland Browns, who they still have a Kareem Hunt a Kareem Hunt and a Nick Chubb. So that's going to be a great pickup for them, and a great pickup for somebody like the Cleveland Browns with Amari Cooper from the Dallas Cowboys. My number 7 acquisition, I'm going to go with the Kahlil Mack to the Los Angeles Chargers. This was a really big pickup for them to get somebody next beside Joey Bosa on the other side. And Kahlil Mack is still a premier edge rusher when he's healthy. He's coming off of foot surgery, but he's only played 7 games, and he's recorded 6. We still recorded 6 sacks in those in between those 7 games. So he's still productive. He's going to come off that foot surgery. I think he's going to be healthy. He only was acquired for a 2nd round pick in 22 and a 6th round pick in 2023. But I still think he's going to come back with a productive season. And just watch out for the Los Angeles Chargers, who are rebuilding that defense behind Stanley, and he's been doing a great job of picking up these all-season acquisitions. Followed by Kahlil Mack, the Chargers also had another splash to me. Jason Jackson, who was the best cornerback in the offseason. He had 8 interceptions in his last 2 seasons. He's a great pickup for them. He signed a 5-year, $87.5 million deal. He's a great cornerback, very productive ever since he came into this league. I was shocked that New England didn't try to find a new deal for him and try to work things out. But he's joining a secondary that's going to include somebody like a Derwin James, and he's friends with Derwin James. And they got Asante Samuel Jr. too on the other side, who had a productive rookie season. So this is a great pickup for them, a great pickup for this defense, and they're going to be a lot better coming into next season. And the Chargers are already loaded in the AFC West. So they're going to all this. So just know bringing a Kahlil Mack and a J.C. Jackson, they know they need defensive weapons to stop somebody like a Russell Wilson and a Patrick Mahomes and a Derek Carr. For my number 5 pickup, this was Matt Ryan traded to the Indianapolis Colts. This was a big, one of the largest cap hits for in NFL history of $40 million for the Atlanta Falcons. And them trading Matt Ryan's kind of sent shock around this league. But it didn't really shock me at most, because at the end of the day, I think Atlanta was looking for a rebuild. Calvin Ridley, he's off to a suspension. The only weapon they have is Kyle Pitts right now. So why put Matt Ryan through another lost season in his career? He's 37 years old. He's getting older. I think I know he wants to win a Super Bowl, and he can do that. Somebody with the Indianapolis Colts who has a Jonathan Taylor. They still have one of the best offensive lines in football. They have a Michael Pittman, so they do have weapons, especially, and they still got Darius Leonard on the defensive side of the ball carrying that defense. So this is still a team like the Indianapolis Colts. They only had to trade a 3rd round pick for him. They're going to take on that money. They've been riding the quarterback carousel ever since Andrew Luck retired. But they found a stability at that position with the Matt Ryan, who still can play. He's still productive. He's a great game manager. He still can make plays throughout the field. So picking up somebody like a Matt Ryan for a 3rd round pick was very, very beneficial for them. And at the quarterback position, especially in the AFC, they needed to upgrade over Carson Wentz. My number four trade or all-season acquisition was a Davante Adams. 123 receptions, over 1,500 yards receiving, and 11 receiving touchdowns. Signed for $141 million for over 5 years, $28 million annually. Traded for a 22 first round pick and a 22 second round pick. This was a brilliant trade for the Raiders. They got what they wanted. They needed a weapon like a Davante Adams, especially what happened to Henry Ruggs, and they got that with a Davante Adams. They paired up Derek Carr with his old former college roommate. Davante Adams is big time. He's been nicked up these last couple of seasons. He's going to miss probably a few games, but when he's healthy, Davante Adams is one of the best wide receivers in the game. And shout out to him, to Davante Adams. He's a baller. This was a great acquisition for the Raiders. I was a little shocked that the Packers, they couldn't find that ground to sign somebody like a Davante Adams. You could look at it that maybe he overpaid for a wide receiver, but look at the wide receiver position, how important it is. Look at Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford, how important that acquisition is. I think people looked at that Super Bowl and looked at, we need somebody like a Cooper Kupp. And whatever they have to pay to get somebody like a Cooper Kupp or Davante Adams, they're going to do that, especially when you have somebody like a Derek Carr who they really like and feel like he's that guy. So I think this was one of the best offseason and shocking offseason acquisitions. But hey, that's the NFL for you. And that was my number 4. Number 3, I'm going to go with Tyreek Hill, another blockbuster trade. Patrick Mahomes lost a huge weapon in Tyreek Hill. To me, one of the best deep threats in the NFL, and probably in NFL history. With his speed and every time he touches the ball in his hands, he's special. He's big time, and it's really shocked me that Tyreek Hill was traded to the Miami Dolphins. You had the Jets in the mix, but he wanted to go to Miami for 4 years, $120 million with $72 million guaranteed. And it came down to money, and they seen the money that Davante Adams was getting, and at the end of the day, it changed the market. They couldn't come. The Chiefs couldn't agree to pay him between 21 to 28. So they found the best trade partners for him. And Tua, this is a big season for Tua. I think he has no excuses. They revamped the offensive line. They picked up probably one of the best weapons in football, and it's looking like a track team, especially with Jalen Waddle. And having a Tyreek Hill is huge. He's coming off a big season. They traded him. They traded a first round, second, and a fourth, and a 2023 fourth and sixth round pick for him. So they gave up a lot for him, probably the farm. But somebody like a Tyreek Hill and somebody like like the Miami Dolphins, this is a great fit. Mike McDonald is very versatile. He coached underneath somebody like Kyle Shanahan and what he did with Deebo Samuels. So watch out for what they do with a Tyreek Hill, because look at ways how they use Deebo Samuel. It's going to be perfect. I feel like that's a perfect fit for him, and I think they're going to be a shock. They're not going to shock a lot of teams, but they're going to surprise a lot of teams. My number 2 acquisition is Russell Wilson. I think this trade was inevitable. The Legion of Boom was broken up. Just that Super Bowl team never really recovered to me after that interception that Russ threw to Malcolm Butler. And it was just a matter of time before he was out the door. And you can see frictions between him and Pete Carroll and the organization. And I think Russell was looking for something different. Denver gave up a first round, second round pick, and a fifth round pick. In 2023, they gave up a first round and a second round pick with Drew Lock, a Noah fan, and a Shelby Harris, who's a quality defensive line player. But I think that was worth it, giving up for somebody like Russell Wilson, who's one of the best deep throw passers in this league. And it's just great to see that Denver finally found their quarterback that they're looking for. Russell Wilson, he's still big time. He has weapons around him. He has somebody like a Cortland Sutherland, a Sutton Cortland, a Tim Patrick, a Jared Judy, Albert Azonoweya, excuse me if I didn't pronounce his name right, Javonte Williams, a Melvin Gordon, and a KJ Hamler. So he has a decent amount of weapons now compared to what he had in Seattle, where it was like Tyler Lockett, and he did have DK Metcalf, but playing around the offensive line was probably a big difference. And now he goes to Denver in a current situation where the defense is a lot better and the situation is a lot better, especially playing underneath the former offensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers. And my number 1 trade acquisition, offseason acquisition, or free agent signing has to go to Deshaun Watson. This was huge. He received a 5-year, $230 million guaranteed. We all heard about his court case with the allegations still going on, proceeding, and see how that's going to pan out. And I do think that somebody like a Deshaun Watson is going to play in the NFL again, unless somehow more evidence comes out. I don't know about the case situations. These situations are still playing out. Hopefully, things clear out and justice is served. But going on, I think this Deshaun Watson is a huge acquisition for somebody like the Cleveland Browns. Acquiring them for 3 first-round picks, a third pick, 2 fourth-round picks was worth it to replace a Baker Mayfield, who they feel like is not that guy. He's an average quarterback, which to be honest with you, Baker Mayfield is an average quarterback. Deshaun Watson is talented. He's way more talented in what he brings. He was ranked one of the best quarterbacks in the league ever since his suspension. He's probably going to be suspended again to see, but we got to wait and see. But that was just a huge shockers. At first, he didn't want to go with Cleveland, but when they sent the bag, how could you not $230 million all guaranteed? And Kevin Stefanski with a Kareem Hunt with a Nick Chubb with one of the best offensive lines in football, he won't actually be doing too much with Amari Cooper. And you still got a defense that to me is still one of the best in the league with a Myles Garrett. So it's just going to be interesting. This is my final thoughts on everything, though. I think this NFL free agency, we seen a lot of teams spending, and we got to look at the Los Angeles Rams, what they've done and how they spend a free agency. A lot of teams are looking at what they did in their blueprint and how they need to be aggressive, picking these big name free agents and getting guys who are talented, and they want to bring guys in, and they're asking other players, especially teams, leaders of these teams, who do we need to bring in and what players they do. They're playing now all in game, like the Los Angeles Rams, giving up first round picks, giving up these picks because they're giving up for players who are already established in this league. And that's probably smart for a lot of teams, especially if you're a Super Bowl winning team, you're looking to win now. So this was a great move by a lot of teams to me. These were my top 10 in that order. Of a lot of changes. Deshaun Watson playing for the Cleveland Browns is huge. That the AFC North is going to be very, very tough to play in. And just to let alone the AFC is going to be very tough. It's going to be a lot of good quarterbacks that are not going to go to the playoffs. And that's going to be interesting. It's not because they're good. It's just there's so many fluctuations of great quarterbacks that it's just going to be who's not in and who's going to get out. So let me know your thoughts, your opinions. Tone out.